Good day, dear friends, and welcome to the next chapter of Aquarius Rising, Christianity and Judaism explained using the science of the stars. Aquarius Rising is a book over 4,000 years in the making. The rights of others are both recognized and supported. Others are free to follow their own cultural and religious path. This work does not advocate forcing anyone to do or follow anything. It is not an attack on any individual or institution. Religion is in the public domain though. As such, it must necessarily expect an examination of its customs, rituals, holy days, and doctrines. I hope this work will aid you in your spiritual journey.
The Zodiac. The ancients called their system of the science of the stars the zodiac as the life-giving sun made its annual track. The word zodiac is from the Greek zodiakos, which is not from the word zoe, which means to live. Zodiakos is from a primitive root though the Hebrew sodi, which means a way in Sanskrit. Given this, it is interesting to note that in Acts 24:14, early Christians were said to be followers of the way. However, I admit that I worship the God of our ancestors as a follower of the way, which they call a sect. Acts 24:14. Thus, the etymology of the zodiac has no connection with living creatures but denotes the way or path the sun appears to move among the stars during the year. This astrotheology or astrology grew from two sciences, astronomy and correspondences. Astronomy deals with the sun, moon, planets, and stars and confines itself to their size, distance, and motion. Correspondence deals with the physical and spiritual influences these same bodies have upon the earth, in other words, how light and its angels/angels interact with our earthly realm. It has been said that astronomy is the lifeless external glove, correspondence is the living hand within. This astrology in its pure form becomes a system of divination and is not connected with fortune-telling. The keen observation and application of intellect and intuition blended harmoniously. When this union became complete, the individual became a priest of great understanding. Initially, at least, this knowledge became a great liberator. The ancients had a saying, "It is the wise man who rules his stars, and the fool who blindly obeys them." Humans still had primacy over the knowledge they were gathering. It became known that someone good at interpreting the star movements had the gift of prophecy. At the time, it was understood that this original form of prophecy did not pertain to future human activity. The gift of prophecy pertained to understanding future movements of celestial entities. The ancients viewed the planets and stars as magnetic instruments of the seven creative principles. They saw the sun as the primary life-giver, the bringer of warmth and deliverance from the cold of the winter. Without the sun, there would be no life at all. In the heat of the spring and summer, life blossomed. They viewed this as a force that acted upon the planets and stars the same way. Remove the sun from our system and the planets would lose their physical influence and die as well. So, the sum total of those powers, called planetary influences, are contained within the solar ray. But the ancients also felt the planets played a key role. For the sun to become potent and give its life-giving warmth, this solar force needed to become refracted into active attributes. This is the role the ancients assigned to the 6 planets visible to them. The sun was absolute active potency, one active energy whose potency is embraced in the orange ray of the light spectrum. Each planetary body had its own unique energy and were radiators of energy they received from the sun. These energies were of a distinct color and potency, each is particular to itself. The sun is the most obvious example, but for the ancients, the sum total of powers of planetary influences combined and contained the entire potentiality of the solar ray. The energies of each planet were noted as distinctive as to color and potency, and each one was unique. Here is how the ancients characterized the 7 different celestial orbs visible to them. They exerted their influences in the following order. The 7 primary spheres. The planet Saturn. Saturn absorbs energy which expresses itself as coldness. It thus produces a nature that is slow and meditative, solitary and reserved. It has selfish sentiments such as comparison, causality, acquisitiveness, and secrecy. Its force corresponds to the blue ray of the light spectrum. The planet Jupiter. Jupiter absorbs and radiates energy best described as noble, generous, and jovial. It focuses on the more generous side of human nature, such as benevolence, spirituality, and hope. It hits a happy medium between fast and slow, between meditative and thoughtful, between the hermit and the easy to access. The personality is cheerful, generous, benevolent. Light sheds love upon all it surrounds. This force corresponds to the purple or indigo ray of the light spectrum. The planet Mars. Mars absorbs and radiates with a sharp, energetic, thoughtless, intrepid, and fierce influence. It has neither fear nor timidity and is free from everything and everyone. The force of Mars is fiery, imperious, combative, and unrelenting. This energy corresponds to the red ray of the light spectrum. The Sun is the lord of material creation. The Sun absorbs and radiates the principle that is life-giving and dignified. Just as Jupiter is a happy medium between the energy exerted by Saturn and Mars, the Sun sends forth an influence best described as a happy medium between Jupiter and Mars. It is affable but majestic, proud, and gracious. It blends firmness with kindness, ambition with paternal considerations, and liberty. The energy of the Sun corresponds to the orange ray of the light spectrum. Earth, our life-sustaining home. The planet Venus. Venus absorbs and radiates the love element of nature. It governs those faculties that express themselves as friendship and agreeability. This influence is warm internally and externally, pliable, receptive, and feminine. It is the energy that yields to nature more positive than its own with loving submission. Thus, the myths of the friendship between Mars and Venus. This energy corresponds to the yellow ray of the light spectrum. The planet Mercury. Mercury was seen as a compound of all the other planets of the spectrum. Hence it became designated as the messenger of the gods. It became noted for an intellectual and scientific side. It is quick and active, enterprising, bright, witty, and changeable. Its activities often include weight, color, order, calculation, and language. It is what we today would call a quick learner. This energy corresponds to the violet ray of the light spectrum. The Moon. The Moon is not considered one of the 7 primary planetary orbs but governs semi-intellectual qualities. It is credited with having desirable attributes of character and time related to the female menstrual cycle. This energy corresponds to the green ray of the light spectrum. What about Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto? The reader may inquire about the planets that were not visible to the ancients. After the 7 notes of the magnetic planets have been sounded, the next note must be upon a different scale. Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto were shining when in the heavens undiscovered, while humankind was impervious to their influence. After the 7 primaries comes Uranus, forming the 8th or an octave expression of the first, Mercury. As such, it is typically agreed upon that this planet rules the higher organs of the brain. Neptune consequently represents Venus on a higher plane. From 1930 to 2006, Pluto was considered the most distant planet in our solar system. Both Eris and Haumea are larger, and more distant, than Pluto, but NASA has defined the term planet to exclude dwarf planets. So, for now, there is no agreement on a 10th planet. The ancients believed that the 10th planet would represent a higher octave for planet Earth and thereby influence the spiritual senses of a more spiritual race of people. But the planets, Sun and Moon do not exist by themselves. The Sun traveled and made its way through other heavenly bodies. These bodies were divided into 12 groups that each contain 30 degrees of arc. The major zodiac constellations. Aries, the Ram, a northern constellation usually named as the first sign in the zodiac into which, when the Sun enters at the vernal equinox in March, celebrated as Easter, where the days and nights are of equal length. During many ages, Aries has been regarded by the devout as the celestial representative, visible in the heavens, of the Lamb of God that taketh away the sins of the world. Ancient calendars always began with the vernal equinox and the sign of Aries. Taurus, the Bull, the second sign in the zodiac. The ancient Egyptians worshipped this constellation as the heavenly representative of their god Osiris. It was likely so named by the Egyptians to designate that period of the year, April, in which cows mostly bring forth their young. Gemini, the twins, the third sign in the zodiac, is a constellation visible in May containing the two bright stars named Castor and Pollux. These two stars are the fabled sons of Leda and Jupiter, who cleared the Hellespont and neighboring seas of pirates during their lives. They were therefore deemed the protector of navigators and sailors. Gemini is considered part of spring, and goats give birth during this time, usually giving birth to two at a time. Cancer, the crab, the fourth sign in the zodiac, in which the sun enters on the 21st day of June, which is the summer solstice. The name represents the apparent backward motion of the sun in June, which is said to resemble the motions of a crab. Leo, the lion. Leo is the fifth sign in the zodiac and contains one star of the first magnitude, Regulus, or Cor Leonis, the lion's heart. Leo is the star group, though, which the sun moved in July when its heat was most powerful, being compared to the most ferocious of the beasts. Leo is often portrayed as an enraged lion. In ancient times there were many feasts in honor of the sun. Virgo, the Virgin Mother, Venus, Eve, Isis. The sixth sign of the zodiac is when the sun enters about the 21st of August. There are many myths and fables regarding the Virgin, which are about among all nations and religions. They all agree that the female holds a branch of ripened wheat or fruit in her right hand. This is intended to represent the reproductive powers of nature, the abundance satisfaction that people enjoy during the happy period of harvest. Libra, the balance, the seventh sign of the zodiac, directly opposite to Aries, from which it is 180 degrees distant. Libra is marked after the manner of a scale. The scale denotes when the sun arrives at the ecliptic, where the days and nights are equal as if weighed in balance. The sun enters Libra on or near September 21st. This is called the autumn equinox. September 25th is when John the Baptist is born. John the Baptist is the forerunner of his cousin Jesus. Jesus comes to his exaltation of glory on March 24th, the vernal equinox at Easter. The equinoxes equally mark the births and deaths of John and Jesus. One advanced, the other declined. Jesus ascended, John descended. Astrologically speaking, he must increase, but I must decrease. John 3:20. Scorpio, the scorpion, the eighth sign of the zodiac, which the sun enters near the 23rd of October. Scorpio is fabled to have killed the great hunter Orion. For this reason, it is also said that when Scorpio rises, Orion sets. In November in the northern hemisphere, when the sun enters Scorpio, it reaches a red star named Antares. It is one of only 4 red stars that the ancients noted in the night sky, the other being Aldebaran, Arcturus, and Betelgeuse. All 4 were feared by the ancients because of their different nature. In Christian mythology, Antares represents Judas Iscariot, who betrays Jesus and brings him down to his death. It is said that the sting of a scorpion often resembles the image of a kiss. Sagittarius, the archer, the 9th zodiacal sign, corresponds with November. This sign is represented like a centaur and was fabled to be Crotus, the son of Eupheme, the nurse of the Muses. Sagittarius is the individual with the arrow. He is the one that inflicts punishment on the sun and who is there on the day the sun dies on December 21st. It is also Sagittarius and, with his arrow, fatefully injures Achilles, representing the sun, heel as the winter solstice shows no mercy. Capricorn, the goat. Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac and occurs when the sun is near the winter solstice, December 21st, the longest night of the year. This sign represents a goat's horns, fabled to be Pan, who was taken to heaven in the shape of a goat in the War of the Giants. Capricorn represents his motion after the manner of a goat climbing the mountains. The goat is Capricorn after the winter solstice, claiming as a new ascension begins. Aquarius, the water bearer, a constellation in the heavens, is so called because there is usually an abundance of rain during its rising. It is the 11th sign in the zodiac. Aquarius rises in January and sets in February. January is often portrayed by Janus, two faces, looking both to the previous year and forward to the new year. Pisces, the fishes, the 12th sign of the zodiac, rises in February. It is represented by the two fishes tied together by the tails. Fish indicates the fishing season in the northern hemisphere. The Greeks fabled these fishes to be those into which Venus and Cupid were changed to escape the giant Typhon. In Catholic churches, there is usually found a vase filled with water, called piscina, and this water is considered holy. The fish days are observed as holy days or fasting days in which fish may be eaten, and meat is forbidden. The decans. The 12 great zodiacal signs do not exist alone. Each one has conjoined with the other visible constellations, now called decans, from the Shemitic dec, meaning part or piece. The decans, in Egyptian batayu, meaning those connected with work, are 36 groups of stars, small constellations, used in ancient Egyptian astronomy to divide the 360-degree ecliptic into 36 parts of 10 degrees each. Geocentrically, each decan appeared to rise consecutively on the horizon throughout each daily Earth rotation. The rising of each decan marked the beginning of a new decanal hour, Greek rei, of the night for the ancient Egyptians. They were used as a sidereal star clock beginning at least the 9th or 10th dynasty, c. 2100 BCE. The great Arab astronomer and physician, Ja'far ibn Muhammad Abu Mashar al-Baqi, known in the West as Abu Mazar or Abu Mashar, 787–886, wrote on the subject of decans. Master Jewish philosopher and astronomer, Abn, sometimes Ibn, Ezra, 1092–1167, calls Abu Mashar the highest authority on the decans and their houses according to the Persians, Babylonians, and Egyptians. He says, "Here follow the decans, which the Arabs in their language call faces. They are 3 to each sign of the way." Abn Ezra continues and says, according to Abu Mazar, none of these forms from their first invention have varied in coming down to us, nor one of their names changed, not a point added or removed. Southey, in the Doctor, states that in Egypt every month was supposed to be under the care of 3 decans, 136 of these, east superintending 10 days, and these decans were believed to exercise influence. The decans can be distinguished by the fact that those belonging to any particular sign come upon the meridian or close along the meridian line, simultaneously with the sign to which they belong. Abu Mazar enumeration of the decans is fully credited by Ibn Ezra. Decans also play a part in the mythological tales of each zodiacal sign. A complete treatment of this topic is beyond the scope of this work. The decans are presented here as a reference for further study and show how they associate with mythology. Point 2. The decans of Aries. Cassiopeia, the woman, enthroned. Cetus, the sea monster, strongly bound by the lamb. Perseus, an armed and mighty man with winged feet, is carrying away in triumph the cut-off head of the monster Medusa filled with withering serpents and holding a great sword aloft in his right hand. The decans of Taurus. Orion, a glorious prince, with a sword girded on his side, and his foot on the head of a serpent. Eridanus, the tortuous river, accounted as belonging to Orion. Auriga, the wagoner or shepherd, carrying a she-goat and 2 little goats on his left arm and holding cords or bands in his right hand. The decans of Gemini. Lepus, the hare, in some nations a serpent, the mad enemy under Orion's feet. Canis Major, Sirius, the great dog, the prince coming. Canis Minor, Procyon, the second dog, follows Sirius and Orion. The decans of Cancer. Ursa Minor, anciently the lesser sheepfold, close to and including the pole. Ursa Major, anciently the greater sheepfold, connected with Arcturus, the guardian and keeper of the flock. Argo, the ship, the company of travelers under the bright canopus, the prince, the Argonauts returned with the golden fleece. The decans of Leo. Hydra, the fleeing serpent, trodden underfoot by the crab and lion. Crater, the cup or bowl of wrath on the serpent. Corvus, the raven or crow, the bird of doom, tearing the serpent. The decans of Libra. The cross, over which Centaur is advancing, is called the Southern Cross. Victim of Centaur, slain, pierced to death. The crown, which the serpent aims to take, is called the Northern Crown. The decans of Scorpio. The serpent, struggling with Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus, wrestling with the serpent, stung in one heel by the scorpion and crushing it with the other. Hercules, wounded in his heel, the other foot over the dragon's head, holding in one hand the golden apples and the three-headed dog of hell, and in the other the uplifted club. The decans of Sagittarius. Lyra, an eagle, holding the lyre, as triumphant gladness. Aera, the altar, burning downward. Draco, the dragon, the old serpent, winding himself about the pole in horrid links and contortions. The decans of Capricornus. Sagitta, the arrow or killing dart sent forth, the naked shaft of death. Aquila, the eagle, pierced and falling. Delphinus, the dolphin, springing up, raised out of the sea. The decans of Aquarius. The southern fish, drinking in the stream. Pegasus, a white horse, winged and speeding, as with good tidings. Cygnus, the swan on the wing, going and returning, bearing the sign of the cross. The decans of Pisces. The band, holding up the fishes and held by the lamb, its doubled end fast to the neck of Cetus, the sea monster. Cepheus, a crowned king, holding a band and scepter, with his foot planted on the polestar as the great victor and lord. Andromeda is a woman in chains and threatened by the serpents of Medusa's head. The four triplicities. These trigons correspond to the four ancient elements. They are fiery, earthy, airy, and watery. Each triplicity or trigon contains 3 zodiacal signs. These are: the four ancient elements have been symbolized as the man, the bull, the eagle, and the lion from time immemorial. Taken together, they are spiritual rays, and when these rays become refracted by passing through the prism of matter, their truth becomes an illusion. Life becomes limited by assuming an appearance that dissipates in death. Fire. This element is dynamic, enthusiastic, and passionate. People who reflect on it tend to appreciate movement and spontaneity and access their imagination for creative problem solving. They frequently search for action and adventure while pushing the limits of their boundaries. Air. Air energy often has a changeable nature common to cerebral and intellect-driven individuals. This energy is often witty and thoughtful but also prone to overthinking. They are sociable creatures who draw energy from communicating and forming alliances with others. Earth. Earth people are grounded, solid, and practical. Earth energy is profoundly sensual. People with substantial earth energy are often resistant to change and appreciate routines and rituals. They often desire material comforts and success. Water. Watery people enjoy fluidity and freedom. They are nonlinear and usually receptive to changes in their environments. They are often creative and artistic. Cardinal fixed and mutable signs. The term cardinal number comes from the Latin cardinalis, which means principal, chief, essential, a figurative use, literally pertaining to a hinge, from cardo, genitive cardinis, that on which something turns or depends, pole of the sky, originally door hinge, which is of unknown origin. Thus, the cardinal signs are key hinge points in the yearly zodiacal cycle. Fixed signs come in the middle of each season: Taurus in the middle of spring, Leo in summer, Scorpio in fall, and Aquarius in the winter. One can consider such signs as workhorses of the zodiac. Fixed signs take over the project once the cardinal sign has passed, keeping the momentum going. Mutable signs are at the end of their quarterly cycle and can be thought of as editors at the end. As above, so below. As below, so above. Over time the ancients also noticed that man is a microcosm, a universe within himself, reflecting the infinite universe, the macrocosm. The 12 signs of the zodiac were divided into sections of the human body. The entire zodiacal belt was symbolized as a man bent round in the form of a circle. The soles of the feet are placed against the back of the head. Each of the 12 signs contain 30 degrees of space, making a whole circle of 360 degrees. This 360 became the symbol of completion. When 3 and 6 are added together, they make 9, thus 3 plus 6 equals 9, which is the highest unit we possess and became the sacred number of the deity. Here is the zodiac and the aspects of the human body they represent. Aries equals the head. Taurus is the mouth and throat. Gemini are the arms. Cancer is the chest. Leo the heart, Virgo the belly, Libra the kidneys, Scorpio the generative organs, Sagittarius the thighs, Capricorn the knees, Aquarius the shins and Pisces the feet. This symbolism relating to the 12 zodiac signs and the human body is viewed as important. The human body can be considered a type of instrument while the sun, moon, and stars are the strings. Our bodies become sounding boards for the celestial notes struck by the starry musicians, the music of the spheres. Next we enter into how light, and its electromagnetic properties interact with Earth and the environment in which humans find themselves. In this system, the stars and planets become the magnetic instruments of the 7 creative principles.
The information in this video was taken from Aquarius Rising, Christianity and Judaism Explained Using the Science of the Stars by ricoroho. Aquarius Rising pulls data from over 4,000 years and numerous books and manuscripts and presents it in an easily digestible form for the modern reader. Aquarius Rising is available on your local Amazon in both print and Kindle. If you found this information useful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.